Hello, I'm Aphrodite Salas. I am a journalist and a professor at Concordia University. Simeone Nalukturuk was just a kid when the police came to his village and shot all their dogs. It was the 1960s, Inukjuak, in the Arctic region of Quebec. And the community had been told that Inuit sled dogs were a danger, that they had diseases. Both reasons were later declared questionable. On the day of the killings in Inukjuak, Simeone's father couldn't bring all the dogs to the dump where the RCMP were waiting. So he told Simeone to bring the last two. And it was a wretched scene, one that Simeone would never forget. Many years later, in 2019, the government of Canada would apologize to the Inuit for their role in the killing of hundreds, if not thousands, of sled dogs. But the damage was done. Inuit are nomadic, so being in a village like Inukjuak was not natural. The Canadian government effectively created these settlements, and with the killing of the dogs, forced relocations, residential schools, and other colonial policies, the Inuit were pretty much forced to stay put. For heat and power, they started getting yearly shipments of diesel fuel, which continue to this day. It's dirty and it's dangerous, and community leaders in Inukjuak wanted to find another way of powering their town. And that is what I went to speak to Simeone about when I was in Inukjuak in 2021. He was the mayor, and I was there for a journalism project focusing on the community's climate leadership. So I planned to talk about Inukjuak's new hydro project that would take them from being 100% dependent on diesel to 100% reliant on renewable energy. But Simeone had other things to tell me. He talked about the killing of the dogs and other policies as tools to assimilate the Inuit and weaken their link to the land and to animals. And he saw his dogs being shot to death. He survived residential school. He understood the trauma, and he told me about it in relation to the energy project. He said, "We are still here, and we are hopefully going to make things go right." And they have. The community has found a way to stop the reliance on diesel and create clean energy through an innovative run-of-river hydro project that they've just completed. Now, it hasn't been easy. There have been huge roadblocks along the way, but they have a clear vision that they were willing to share. This partnership and others with Indigenous clean energy have provided the basis of my research into constructive, collaborative journalism methods within the context of the TRC and Call to Action 86. Inukjuak suffered the effects of environmental racism and colonialist energy policies for far too long. And now they are the authors of their own energy sovereignty story, and they are proving that when there's a will, there's a way, and that clean alternatives exist, not only in principle, but in practice. They are proof that communities can rise up and lead the way. And in particular, Indigenous communities are doing that time and time again from coast to coast to coast. And that is where I see space for journalism in the electrification equation, but not just any journalism. Traditional journalism, yes, is known to be full of negativity, full of cynicism, conflict-based, and sensationalized. For Indigenous communities, from the TRC section on media and reconciliation, this kind of journalism has caused great harm for generations through racist, stereotypical reporting. Journalism has been a big part of the problem, but I believe it can also be a part of the solution. In this space of electrification and clean energy, I see a clear road for collaborative, constructive journalism that builds bridges. And constructive journalism, in and of itself, is a movement that goes beyond breaking news, goes beyond investigative journalism to, quote, vigorously report on possible solutions to important social issues. And the goal, according to the Constructive Journalism Institute based in Copenhagen, is to help the public form an accurate picture of the world that they live in, not a simplistic one. So it is forward-thinking, it is inclusive, it is collaborative and contextualized. It is bridging, not polarizing. So it's an approach that demands a rethinking, and this is what I really love, of how reporters fulfill their democratic and societal roles. And it's within these principles that I have centered my own work, focusing on amplifying Indigenous collective action on climate change. To me, presents an opportunity to constructively report on one of the biggest problems of our time. And it's also an opportunity to change the narrative of the past and to build bridges between non-Indigenous people and Indigenous people as a robust response to the TRC calls to action on media and reconciliation. So this is the focus of the research program I have developed at Concordia University, and it is the perspective that I bring to the leadership team of Voltage. When I was first brought onto the project, I must admit I was a little perplexed about where a journalism expert fit into a room full of engineers. I started reading a lot about energy policy, and I came across a great paper put out by the Public Policy Forum that articulated what Canada will need to address skyrocketing energy demands in the future. So everything from, as you would imagine, clear public policy, R&D, to technology implementation. But it was when they started talking about capturing the public imagination along the grand journey to a cleaner, healthier future. That is where I saw the role of constructive journalism practices, the role of helping people understand where we have been in order to clearly see the road ahead, and the importance of acknowledging the effect of colonialism not only on the social fabric of society, but also within the sciences. Context is everything. Which brings me back to Inukjuak and the resilience of their community members. The interview Simeone gave me would prove to be one of his last. He passed away just 5 months after our visit to Inukjuak. And in consultation with his widow, Alice, we edited his video with archival and other images to create the short documentary Simeone Nalukturuk in his own words, and his stories live on. I feel the ongoing energy sovereignty story of Inukjuak is a gift, and it makes me hopeful, which is a powerful thing. And after all, hope has been described as one of the most powerful sources of energy known to humankind. And for real, sustainable electrification, we need that kind of energy too. Thank you.